The mother-daughter relationship is one of the oldest and deepest bonds in the world. But sometimes this relationship becomes so complicated that it becomes difficult for outsiders to understand. The stories of families that grow up in the spotlight of television always seem dramatic to us, but behind the camera, there are moments of intense pain, conflict, and loneliness. One such story is that of Mama June Shannon, her daughter Anna Chickadee Cardwell, and granddaughter Kaitlyn. Coming to the limelight. When the popularity of reality shows on American television was skyrocketing, June Shannon and her family, who lived a completely ordinary life, suddenly came into the spotlight. The show, called Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, was initially popular with viewers for its comedy, entertainment, and strange family chemistry. June Shannon was a woman with a strange personality, but indomitable courage. Being a mother of 4, managing a family with limited finances, and being the talk of the town, all of this slowly led to a dramatic life. Television cameras captured every strange, funny, and sometimes heartbreaking moment in June and her family's lives. Even under the spotlight, no one could see the complexities within the family. Anna, June's eldest daughter, was a bit of a dissenter from a young age. Her relationship with the rest of the family wasn't always smooth. Due to various incidents in her childhood, an invisible distance developed between mother and daughter, which only grew stronger over time. Anna's childhood and adolescence. Anna Cardwell was not used to being part of the spotlight since she was a child. She always wanted to live her own life. Her relationship with June was rocky from the start. She often felt that her mother always paid more attention to her younger sisters. Compared to Honey Boo Boo, Alana, Lauren, Pumpkin, and Jessica, Anna always seemed neglected. This sense of neglect led to anger within Anna. As she reached adolescence, that anger grew even more. She often argued with her mother, and even thought about leaving home. But despite all the complications, Anna carried a different strength within her. One day she would build her own life, raise her own child, and be the best mother in the world to that child. Kaitlyn's arrival. When Anna became a mother in the late 2000s, a new light shone in the family. Although little daughter Kaitlyn became a source of joy for everyone, it also started a new conflict. June, although she loved her granddaughter very much, mother and daughter had completely different styles of responsibility. Anna always wanted to make her own decisions, and June felt that it was important to show her daughter the way with her experience. Because of this tension, Kaitlyn often fell in the middle. On the one hand, Mother Anna wanted her daughter not to grow up in loneliness like her. On the other hand, Grandmother June wanted her granddaughter to be raised in a stable, safe, and financially secure environment. This conflict gradually began to take on a larger form. Division in the family. It did not take long for the media to notice the division that existed within June's family outside the television show. Various personal scandals, strained relationships, and public humiliation, all of which began to damage the family's image. Anna gradually began to distance herself from her mother. Although she knew in her heart that even if she did not have a relationship with her own mother, she needed to maintain contact with her mother about Kaitlyn. Because June was the person who could handle a lot of things financially and socially. But Anna's stubborn nature and June's domineering attitude repeatedly created conflict. The seeds of conflict began. As a teenage mother, Anna faced many challenges. Her own life was still messy, yet she loved her daughter unconditionally. But society, the media, and even her own family, everyone at times questioned Anna's ability to take on responsibility. June believed that Anna was not yet mature enough to take on responsibility. Anna, on the other hand, believed that no matter what happened in her life, she had the ability to raise her daughter, Kaitlyn. This conflict began a long mental and emotional battle, which later turned into a legal battle. Anna's illness and her mother's struggle. Diagnosis, a sudden turn in life. The beginning of 2023 came as the biggest shock in Anna Chickadee Cardwell's life. Doctors told her that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 adrenal carcinoma, a type of deadly cancer. Anyone would have been devastated by the news, but Anna tried to stay strong from the very beginning. Yet deep down, she knew this was not just her own battle, but also the future of her two daughters, Kaitlyn and Kylie. The family that was once full of laughter and jokes in front of the cameras was now filled with fear, anxiety, and tears. June Shannon, Anna's mother, who has weathered many storms herself, suddenly faced a new battle. Seeing her daughter through a mother's eyes. June had always been criticized in her life. Sometimes the media pointed fingers at her lifestyle, sometimes her parenting style, sometimes her decisions. But after Anna's illness, she tried to stand up as a mother above all else. She would often say, "As a mother, when your child is suffering, you put aside everything in the world and think about only one thing, how to save him." The cost of Anna's treatment, maintaining her mental strength, planning for the future of her two granddaughters, everything fell on June's shoulders. The brutal reality of chemotherapy. When chemotherapy began, Anna's body began to break down. The hair loss, the weight loss, the intense pain, she tried to smile through it all. She wanted to be strong, especially in front of Kaitlyn. But in reality, she would cry when she got home after each chemo session. June would often hold her like a little girl in her arms. There were many nights when Anna would whisper quietly, "Mommy, I don't know if I can do it." June would hold her hand and answer, "You can do it, because your fight is not just for you, it's for your daughters." Emotional strain in the family. Anna's illness shook not only her body, but the entire family. Sister Alana, Honey Boo Boo, was in school at the time, managing her studies while also struggling with the fear of losing her sister. Pumpkin, Lauren, was also busy with young children, but she often went to the hospital to sit by Anna's side. And June, who was repeatedly in the media's attention, tried to get Anna's treatment and emotional support from the entire family. But in the meantime, another new thought began to arise: what would happen to the girl's future after Anna's death? Anna's fears for Kaitlyn. Anna knew very well that her body was breaking down quickly. The possibility of death was looming. So she started thinking more and more about her daughter Kaitlyn day by day. She wanted Kaitlyn to grow up with someone who would love her unconditionally, who would protect her, and who would be responsible for her education and emotional development. June was the one she trusted the most. Although the mother-daughter relationship had always been ups and downs, Anna still felt that June was the safest refuge for Kaitlyn. Long custody battle. Knocking on the court's door. There was no way to fill the void that had been created in the family after Anna's death. But an even bigger question became, who would Kaitlyn be with now? June Shannon knew that her daughter had clearly wanted Kaitlyn to be raised by her grandmother before she died. But the legal system wasn't that simple. Anna's ex-husband Michael Cardwell, although he's not Kaitlyn's biological father, claimed in court that he wanted legal rights to the girl. His argument was that he had been Anna's longtime partner, and he had also had an affair with the girl. This was where the long battle began, which June later told People. "I hated that we had to go through this long process. I wish we could all sit down and talk and figure out a solution. But that didn't happen." Inside the courtroom. The atmosphere in the Georgia courtroom was tense from the start of the case. On one side was Mama June, a grandmother who was desperate to keep her granddaughter. On the other side was Michael, who was not willing to give up his rights. The court hearing lasted for several hours on the first day. Everyone thought, maybe it would be resolved quickly. But June said. It went from 1 day to 3.5 days with the court. In other words, this fight lasted more than 2.5 days. Each side tried to convince the court why Kaitlyn should stay with them. Legal complications. In custody cases, the court always looks at one thing, the best interest of the child. Michael's lawyers argued that Michael had been a part of Kaitlyn's life for a long time, so he had the right to visitation. June's lawyers, on the other hand, proved that Anna clearly expressed her desire that Kaitlyn stay with her grandmother while she was alive. The court considered that Michael's claim was weak because he was not the biological father. Moreover, his last wish before Anna died would be more important. Emotions versus reality. June could not hold back her emotions during the hearing. On the one hand, the grief of losing her daughter, and on the other hand, the fear of losing her granddaughter, two burdens were on her shoulders. She cried in court. Later, in an interview, she said, "It was emotional because you have to go through that. I hated that we had to go through that." June did not want Kaitlyn to be under emotional stress due to the court's tension. So she wanted a direct settlement between the families. But that was no longer possible. Judgment Day. Finally, in September 2024, the court ruled. Uncle June will get full custody. Michael will only be able to visit if Kaitlyn wants it voluntarily and Uncle June agrees. After hearing this verdict, June breathed a sigh of relief, but her heart ached. Because she knew that this fight created unnecessary conflict by going against Anna's last wishes. The separation of the two sisters and the new reality. The emptiness after the farewell. Anna Cardwell's death shook not only her mother, but her two daughters, Kaitlyn and Kylie, the most. Suddenly, they lost their mother from their world. At a young age, they began to understand how cruel life could be. But along with the grief, another difficult truth came to light: they could no longer be together. After the court ruling, Kaitlyn went to live with her Uncle June, and Kylie stayed with her father, Michael, in Alabama. Thus, the two sisters were divided into two worlds. Broken childhood. The sisters who slept together in their mother's arms, played in the same room, and did not want to spend a day without each other, were suddenly separated. Kaitlyn did not understand anything at first. She kept asking her uncle, June, "When will I meet Kylie?" But June had no easy answer. The court rules, Michael's wishes, and the distance all made it nearly impossible for the sisters to see each other. On the other hand, Kylie would cry to her father, "Mom's gone, why can't I see my sister now?" The breakup left a scar on the two little girls' childhoods that would take a long time to heal. June's guilt. Even though she won the custody case, Mama June felt a sense of guilt. She knew that Anna wanted her two daughters to be together. But the reality was that the court rules didn't allow that. She later said in an interview, "Anna wanted everything to be peaceful. But that's not how it happened. The girls can't keep in touch with each other anymore, it breaks my heart." June tries to keep her sisters in touch by phone or video call. But Michael doesn't always cooperate. Kaitlyn's emotional changes. Kaitlyn is trying to adjust to the new reality. Mama June is trying to keep her busy with school, friends, and family time. Still, there is always a kind of emptiness in her eyes. The death of her mother and the absence of her sister shake her inside. Many nights she cries, hugging her uncle. "I want my mother. I want Kylie." June then tells her to calm down. "Your mother is always watching you, and Kylie will see you one day." But even though these words provide temporary comfort, the emptiness inside remains. Kylie's life. Kylie is growing up in Alabama with her father. Her life has also changed. The absence of her mother, the absence of her sister, everything is clear in her eyes. She goes to school, spends time with friends, but often becomes silent. Even the teachers have noticed, Kylie is not as cheerful as before. Sometimes she sinks into loneliness. Life after the fight and a message for viewers. Finding peace after the storm. After going through all this, Mama June is slowly finding peace. She knows that life will never be the same. Anna will never come back. But the children she left behind, especially Kaitlyn, are the responsibility she is learning to live around anew. Kaitlyn's new chapter. Kaitlyn is now growing up in a new environment for her mama. School, friends, spending time with other family members, everything is slowly building a new rhythm in her life. Still, the memory of Anna and the absence of her sister Kylie shake her every day. June tries to connect with her granddaughters, although it is not always possible. Still, she believes that time will heal all wounds one day, and the two sisters will be reunited. June's realization. June, who has been criticized many times in front of the media, is now a different person. He admitted that he made mistakes in life, sometimes creating distance with his children. But Anna's death has taught him a new lesson: family is everything. He said, "I want my granddaughters to know that they are not alone. Their mother may not be there, but I am. I will fight as long as I live." The family's new path. Anna's death and the custody battle have shaken the entire family. Alana, Honey Boo Boo, Pumpkin, Lauren, and Jessica all try to keep each other safe. They all have one goal: that Kaitlyn grows up in love, security, and stability. Message to the audience. Dear readers, Anna's story is not just a family story. It teaches us. Family is not always easy, yet the bond of relationships cannot be broken. No matter how difficult the legal battle, the well-being of the child must always come first. We all lose loved ones in life, but their memories and love carry us forward. If you are reading this story today, remember, your family is your greatest strength. No matter how much storms come, no matter how much division there is, standing by your family in the end is the proof of true love. Underscore 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 underscore. Sparkle's final words. The story of Mama June, Anna, and Kaitlyn brings tears to our eyes, but at the same time inspires hope, love and responsibility above all else.